Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is another session of Dr. Tom Talks Careers in College. This time, we're going to focus on the car industry, the automobile industry, specifically selling cars. I love the topic. Chris and Janine, my co-host today. How are you?
Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you. Right. You guys have been in the car business for a long time, and I want to get right to it. But first, you represent Dealer Skip, right? That's your business right now. Talk to me about that. What is that all about?
We did the car thing for a long time. I was a general manager. Chris was a sales manager, general sales manager. And we were like, what? You have to sell your soul a little bit at times. And after a long time and not being in an environment with the right people, it was like, you either got to go find your right people, or, we said, you know what, instead of hopping like other people do, we need to go do something that feels good to us and that we think helps people.
We have a set of skills, I think, that not everybody has. Not everybody can just do what we've done. We've done it for a long period of time. So,
well, I'm gonna interrupt you a lot, so I apologize because the people watching may not know the lingo here. We all know selling our souls, Janine, like you said, but what does that mean?
Well, there's two types of people in the car business. There's the ones who are like, let's make every dollar we can on everybody. And then there's the people that are, let's try to make a little bit on each person and do, make sure that we give people fair deals and develop relationships long-term and develop service customers. And there's a lot of that out there. But if you're not, if you're trying to find the right group of people to work with, it's not always easy. You have to make sure that you find a store where that's something that's applauded. And what happened was the industry, there was barely any cars left. And it got to a point where everybody was kind of like, well, we just need to make every dollar that we can on every single car. And it was a rough point. And we just, we didn't want to do that. We wanted to do something that we felt good about. We wanted to do what we had done before, which was sell, a lot of cars and make a little bit on each deal.
All right. So talk to me about that. So you made the transition from the traditional, dealership into doing what specifically now? So I didn't want to get too far off the path.
Okay. So what we do now is we help people get cars. So they contact us if they need help, they're looking to buy a car and they just don't really know, how to go about it, or they can't find it. They don't have the time. There's a million reasons. It's like having a real estate agent. But for cars, basically, it's like we go out, we find the best deal, we negotiate it, we work.
Most people have lives.
Sell your trade-in.
Most people have families. They have things that happen. They don't have the time to spend 5 hours of research time and then talk to multiple dealers. And maybe you go into a dealership and they have the perfect car and you get the salesman that just started the day before and they have no idea what they're doing, right? And there's just so many factors that go into that. And what DealerSkip does is we take on that for you. We do it so you don't have to, because people's time is very valuable to them, and everybody's a little bit different in how they value their time. So for a lot of people, we make a lot of sense. And for some people, we don't make sense and they want to do it on their own. And we are there to help as well, right? With our TikTok and things like that.
We try to put as much free content. We're doing more of it. We're just filming some stuff as well. We're trying to put free content out there for people who want to do it on their own. But we
want to educate people and level the playing field. That is the goal of Skip, and to help when we can and be there for them and be on their side.
Well, I like your honesty because, had I been talking to somebody else, possibly make it a different story of their vision, right? Their way of doing things. So I'm glad that you guys were able to pivot and to do what you're doing now versus before. And I'm sure in that industry, in addition to selling your soul, there's a high burnout, right?
What's that?
There's a high burnout rate.
Oh yeah. And it's one of those things that when you're in it, I feel like you're always kind of looking for a way out. And then when you get out, it's like an addiction. It's like a tattoo. Once you're in it and you've been in it and you've had some success, you get out, you immediately want back in. It's very, again, I hate to use the word addictive, but it is. I mean, because again, depending on the dealership you work at, you can make a lot of money very quickly. I'm somebody who does not have a college degree. I did not finish college, and I went and I was able to make 6 figures within 2 years of working in the car industry.
But you work your butt off.
That's the thing, is I worked 50 plus hours a week minimum.
Hey, no pain, no gain.
Correct.
So
and that's how it was.
in terms of career, there's people, kids, young adults, even in their 20, it doesn't matter. Many of options, but if they're looking for something that doesn't require the education piece, like you said, this may be the route to go. But what skill set, in your opinion and experience, do you need to sustain living in the car business?
You need to be personable and you need to have confidence. I think those are the two biggest factors. I think, I when I started in the car business, I know how to change my oil and I can change a tire, and that's about it. But one thing I'm very good at is understanding people's needs and just talking to people, and I'm a confident person. And that's how I was able to succeed in the car business, is because, again, it's all walks of life.
Thick skin. Yeah. It's, people they come in, they're not,
they don't want to talk to you. You're a car salesman.
It brings out the worst in people sometimes. So that energy that calms them back down, and that sort of making it comfortable.
Yeah.
Buying a car should be fun. Buying a car should be a lot of fun. It should be exciting time. But
to piggyback off what Janine just said, do you think that stigma of the whole car sales process, from the time the consumer goes into the dealership, you're like, oh God, has that changed?
Yes and no. So
okay.
I'd say it's gotten a lot better. The more information that's out there, the more people are coming in equipped, knowing what to do.
Buyers are educated these days. They're very educated.
Yeah. I mean, I remember in 08, 09, people getting nervous that people are going to be able to find out everything about how to buy a car. And we're going to have to start preparing for them being educated. And it's, it's gotten more and more they know that the customers are educated to a certain extent. But I think there's still this cockiness that they think they can get around.
Yeah, right.
Places.
So this is what it says online.
And they're like, oh, well, this is how and then they just train on how you get over these objections. They just train on something else. So
talk to me about some of the objections, because that's, to me, and I said this before, it's fascinating to me. So you have to hold your weight, the confidence, right? So what are some of the objections that typically occur that one would have to get over?
I think a lot of it is, when I was dealing, it was the significant other. Oh, I'm not here, my significant other, and I need to talk to my, whatever. And
that's they're out, right?
Well, because here's the thing is, again, for most people, for most couples, they want to make that decision together. It's a big decision. So, as a salesman, you have to ride that very fine line of being pushy, but not stepping over that line, because as soon as you step over that line, that's it. You've lost.
Right. Well, so then if they have that significant other or whatever the excuse is, and I think it's an excuse a lot of times, but
it is 99% of the time.
Yeah, that's their way out. But so once they leave that door, what are the odds of them coming back?
There's actually a lot of stuff behind this there's a lot of statistics behind that when somebody leaves. Buying a car is an emotional decision, and you are trained as a salesman to ride that emotion and to essentially take advantage of that emotion, right? And to get them into that buying fever and wanting to buy right here, right now. So overcoming those objections, like Janine said earlier, having thick skin and being able to take those on the chin is very important, because, you said it, they are very much excuses. Oh, I gotta, I'm late for my kid's baseball practice or whatever. It's 3:00 in the afternoon. No, you're not.
I always used to train people that to have the attitude when the customer's in front of you that they are never going to come back, right? So you treat them like you're never going to see them again, because you're probably not. That's how we were trained. And then when they leave, if they do end up leaving, then you treat them like they're 100% going to come back. So then you blow them up and you call them over and over and over until they come back. So.
And there is nobody more annoying than a determined car salesman.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know about that. That might, there might be realtors that are like that too, right? So I'm going to ask you, when you say confidence, right? A lot of times in sales, it's a hard line to separate between cockiness and confidence, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you separate the two, if at all?
I think it's very clear. Just like when a customer walks in that first couple of minutes, you have that first impression. And I think that you're going to figure out real quick whether that salesperson is cocky or confident just in the way they present themselves. If they're asking the right questions and they're polite and they're being respectful, I think you're going to see confidence. I think if they go in there and they, the hands in the pockets, the general body language, you're going to tell really quick whether somebody, you've got that slimy, whatever, you want to call.
Yes, you said it, slimy.
Well, and it is, and there's a lot of people out there that still do it that way, and I think that, again, understanding that you're filling somebody's need. So the more questions you ask, the more barriers that are broken down and the more trust you're given at that point. And that's where the confidence lies. That's where confidence can begin to happen is, just act natural. Just, you don't need to.
Yeah,
they came in, they want to be
confident.
sold. They want to buy a car. People, who wouldn't want to go in and buy a brand new car? I mean, come on, they want to do it. It's just be confident about it. They came to see you, be personable and just know that, as long as you take the right steps, you're going to, change this person's life. And if you can remember that, and stay humble about it, then that's how you remain confident.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and confidence in your abilities. You want to
Right.
find somebody that if they're not confident in what they're doing, this is a big purchase. You don't want to put your hands and or your sale in the hands of somebody who hasn't been doing it or isn't really sure about what
You might
they're
be spending
doing.
over $100,000. I mean,
There are, yeah.
I mean, this could literally be one of, if not the biggest, the second biggest transaction you're ever going to make in your entire life. And having a salesperson that's confident and really, again, feels confident in their abilities and
Yeah,
knows what
their
they're doing is going to be huge in making that transaction smoother.
Yeah. Well, so what, if any, tactics or strategies have changed from old school, whatever year or period we want to make that, where the salesman that's sitting there, well, let me go get my manager. There's a lot of lag time there. Like the customer's like, well, what am I doing, right? How many layers to this am I going to experience? So does that still exist? Like, what's the playing field like now?
When I got trained to work $50 a time. So if that car costs $25,000, okay, if I could sell you the car for $24,950, would you buy the car today? No, exit out, write the next number down. And over, I mean, it's literally sit there for hours, $50 at a time, $100 at a time. The negotiation part of things have changed.
They love it.
Well, you walk into a lot of dealers now and this is the price. Okay, cool. If you take, $3,000 off, I'll buy the car today. Nope, that's the price. If you don't want to buy it, then there's the door.
But what's the reasoning behind that?
It's because there's not as much inventory out there and dealers know it. For a lot of different places, they know before pre-pandemic, you could drive, depending on where you live, 10 miles in any direction and find almost the identical car, probably find 4 of them, and it's not like that anymore. It's supply and demand.
Change. Janine, what do you think about college graduates starting or getting involved in this business?
College graduates.
Yeah, but before you answer that, I think, and I could be wrong, there would be a layer of cockiness, right? Like, if this doesn't work out, I got my college degree, or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on the person. I have seen people who graduated from college and got into this because they just loved cars. You get a lot of that in this business, people who just love cars and they enjoy, learning about them and teaching about them, and who have done phenomenal, have gotten into, especially with like any sort of math, because there's higher management requires more math and breaking things down.
Finance managers, for example.
Yeah. So I would say you have a much higher chance of promotion if you have those kinds of skill sets, and you don't have to have gone to college for it. You know what I
Right.
mean? But just having that, that technical mind can be helpful.
Yeah. So what position in the, what do you call it? Car business, the automotive business? What's the terminology?
We've always called car biz.
Car biz,
People
all
of
right.
car biz, the car biz.
Yeah.
right?
Car business. All right. What's a good job to have within that world? Like if you factor in pay and maybe, I know the hours are shaky, but just the overall well-rounded position in the car business that doesn't stress you out as much as others. Is there one?
That's a.
right, so-
Honestly, salespeople at the right store have it made. There are stores where these people are making a lot of money. They have, and here's the thing. So you get these people who get really good at it, right? You start selling 20, 30 cars a month or whatever is a lot for your store. You start to get a lot more freedom. You start to be able to kind of like come and go a little bit more. And if you're good at it, then, you know.
It's very much like sports, right? When you become a superstar on your team, all of a sudden you're
Yeah.
5 minutes late to practice. You might not get yelled at the same way as the person who only plays half the game, right? I mean, it's kind of the same way where if you've just started or you're a middle or lower of the
Yeah.
end on your sales team, you're not going to have the same leeway. You know, when you're one of the top dogs, it's they you know, because at that point too, you have a little more leverage, right?
Sure.
Because, you know, you have a client base, people come to see you. You know, I remember even working with Janine, you know, there'd be two people waiting. She'd be with a customer. I'd be doing nothing. I'd be like, hey, can I help you out? In the meantime, they're like, no, we're all set. We want to work with her. Okay, sure. No problem.
Yeah. I mean, it's really just, if you work harder and you get better at it and you develop your skill set, it's not about getting promoted. There's plenty of salespeople who have chosen not to get promoted.
Yeah, they prefer it. They
prefer
want to
it.
stay on the floor. They make great money. And as soon as you move up
That
to a
was the
sales
thing.
manager, oh my God, it's a whole different world. And
They don't want
you're,
the aggravation, right?
oh
Yeah.
my God, it's very different. It's a huge step in, you know, not necessarily always in a positive direction. I mean, I know some people that when they went to management, they actually took a pay decrease, you know, a pay cut in the beginning because they just wanted to get the management part on their resume, but they legit took a pay decrease to get that position.
Wow. All right. So that individual who wants a job, right, back to this part of the career piece, they come into a dealership. What are some of the things they should set themselves up for?
You're going to work. You're going to work a lot of hours. You're going to work a lot of hours.
But what are you people on your end looking for in addition to the few things we talked about? Let's get into it a little more. Dress, right?
Yeah. I mean, you need to know how to carry on a conversation. That's it. I mean, we bring them around the dealership, introduce them to people and see how they interact with them. So if you walk in there, if you're looking to get into this type of work and you're looking to interview, I think it looks really good if you walk in and kind of make conversation with the receptionist or, you know, the other salespeople, or just kind of walk in there and show that you're comfortable with people, because you're going to have to be comfortable with people. You're going on test drives with them.
And again, you don't know the person who's going to walk through the door. You have no idea their situation. You have no idea the kind of person they are. Are they going to be a technical person? Are they not going to be? Are they going to care just about payment, or are they going to want to read every single line?
You
don't
can't
know.
pick your customers, right?
Correct.
So the person you're going to be spending half the day with might be somebody completely different personality wise than you.
I never thought of that. Yeah, that's crazy. Like every day's different, but like every customer, you just don't know.
It's fun. It really is fun.
And you don't jive with everybody, right? I mean, not everybody just gets along with everyone. That's just not how real life works. Yeah. You know, so again, I mean, you know, you might spend, like Janine said, 5-6 hours with these people. You have to.
That's a long time.
You have to be a chameleon and be able to have, you know, that's why bartenders make the best salespeople, because you have to be able to talk about anything at any time.
Have you ever seen any bartenders sell cars?
Yeah.
100%. I actually, and I know this is going to sound kind of funny, but in terms of recruiting, I mean, tell me a better way to recruit. Hey, I'm going to go to the bar, you know, but again, they are, because when same thing, you know, like a car dealership, you don't know who's going to walk up to that bar, what kind of mood they're going to be in. If they're in a good mood, bad mood, are they there to drink their sorrows away, or are they there to have fun? right? Are they buying a car because their car just got totaled because somebody went through a intersection through a red light? Or,
Yeah.
did they
Right.
just get a huge raise at work?
Yeah, some
You-
people, I
you don't
mean, you
know.
had people come in who like they're getting rid of the car because their spouse died, and that's,
Oh,
so,
yeah.
you have to handle all sorts of different like emotional
Yeah.
components that come
People
with
walk
it.
in, I need to sell this car. Oh, why are you selling the vehicle? It looks great. Well, my husband passed away.
Yeah,
My
or,
wife
like,
passed away or whatever. And it's like, and you have to, you can't,
or
again,
they're
you
having
can't-
a baby and they're stressed about that.
Yeah.
and,
you got
it's
one
really-
person who smiles and the other person who's kind of just looking at the ground. And
Oh yeah, but couples are tough too.
So what do you make of that though? When one couple, because you can read like, I won't say that, like a wife or husband or vice versa, who is not interested and does not want to be there.
those are the objections you have to overcome. And those are you can tell, again, as a salesperson, you want to read body language and you want to get them emotionally attached to the vehicle and excited about buying the vehicle. So you might start off with, again, asking open-ended questions, moving to targeted questions, but you might start off about safety and see how they react, but again, asking questions is important because the more answers you get out of them, the more you can steer that presentation to their needs. Right. So again, the first,
Yeah, and you have to break that barrier.
the
with
first
them
5 to
too.
10 minutes are probably the most important time in the sale.
Yeah. I'm sure like safety, kids, families, right? That's important.
But and this is why it's so,
People.
everyone is different. Everybody is different in terms of why they're buying the vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah. In terms of pay structure, I know it varies, but if we could just generally outline what that typically looks like, for one starting out, like what are their expectations going in there, even after it's explained to them, like what does that look like?
So you get two, I think you get two, for the most part, different types of stores. You get one, for the most part, that run, where they're going to pay you more on commission. The more you make and the more grosses in the vehicle, you're going to get paid more. And then you have volume-based dealers where the more cars you sell, the more you're going to make. And there's always bonuses and there's always, different tiers to that.
Yeah, or there's like a minimum amount. We call it a flat. It's usually like $100 or $200 or depending. It depends on the store. But somewhere around there is like the minimum that you can make on a car when you sell it. And then if you end up making a lot on that car, then you get more than that amount.
Yeah. Or if you
Right.
sell accessories on it or, other things that you can do to make money on the deal.
What's the biggest money make? We're telling secrets here. What are the biggest money makers in terms of accessories or add-ons?
The warranty, the extended warranties
Yeah.
usually, and all of the products have value to them at the right price, right? It's like, they're for somebody. They don't exist for nothing. It's just they mark them up like they mark everything else up. So getting that right price. But yeah, we make a lot on the warranty is usually the biggest aftermarket item.
Yep. Yeah. Accessories aren't that big. I mean, the higher the price, typically the higher the markup.
Well, if you get like those like tow kit or the like lift kits and stuff like that,
Yeah.
the more money that you get into price wise. The accessories usually have like, I don't know, like somewhere say 20% range markup, right? So as you get to a higher price point, there's more dollar markup to it.
I always wondered as an objection, and I've seen it, and this is your business, but when one wants to buy a car and it's all loaded up with this guard, that guard, all these accessories, and the customer does not want that, but the dealership says we pre-package it. That's the way it is. We do it to all cars. How do you, as an objection, right? Stick with the career piece. How does one get around that? You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I mean, some dealers are actually like, they just won't sell the car. Like,
Yep.
Right.
If you're not trading
You know?
something in, if you're not buying it with those things already on it, the environmental protection packages and all of those other things. And again, this kind of goes into what the car business is going through right now, where they're in a position where, okay,
Yeah.
if you don't want to buy it, then there, have a nice day. Let me know if you change your mind. Where
Really?
before it was like, well, no, hold on. And it's just not like that anymore.
Wow. I
Right
thought that
now.
would right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
great.
changing. I mean, it's definitely getting better. You're not, I mean, there was a point in time where it was just.
Yeah, when we got out there,
outrageous.
like there was barely any cars left and everybody was losing their minds.
Well, and that's, and
Yeah.
again, people are spending 10, 20, 30 grand over sticker price on these cars because again, as soon as you tell somebody they can't have it, I don't care who they are. It just, we are wired as humans where it's like, well, what do you mean I can't have it? I need to have it now.
You want it, yeah.
You tell me I can't have it. I need to have it.
That's crazy.
So
Tell me
it's
one
just-
of your most memorable in a good way and a not so good way of your experiences when you were at the dealership.
I had a good one. So I sold a car to a gentleman that lived in the hometown that I lived in at that point in time. And I had to bring the paperwork to him to help him, get some signatures. And I brought the vehicle. And this was years ago, and the Bruins were actually in the playoffs. And he was watching the game. He was just drinking a beer, watching the game. And he's like, dude, you got to come in. It's a close game. And I sat there for a good hour and a half in this guy's living room, just watching the
That
Bruins
is
game.
awesome.
It wasn't like awkward. It wasn't weird.
Yeah.
It was just a couple of people enjoying the game. And just, again, it made it the car buying process fun, and he enjoyed it,
That was
and it just,
great.
again, I had to take some extra time, but the difference that made, I mean, again, he came back, he bought more cars from me, and we talked, still to this day. So that would be a good one. I would say a bad one. I one time had to get some paperwork signed. I was about an hour away from the dealership, and I decided I wanted to take this Hemi Dodge Charger that was there, because it's going to go nice and fast, whatever. It's a nice car. Well, what I didn't realize is that the engine was no good on the thing. And when I was on my way home about 5 minutes in, the car just started leaking all kinds of fluid. It was overheating, and it took me about 4 hours to get back to the dealership. And needless to say, my sales manager couldn't even look at me when I got back. That's how upset he was. So.
Oh boy. How about
Not
We
fun.
all have damaged. That happens a lot where people damage vehicles.
Well, that was the thing. I was gone for 4 hours, but then I came. I like the car was smoking when I pulled back into the lot. So not only did it waste my time and the people that needed help, but then the car's value just plummeted.
Yeah.
Also I could get a couple of signatures on an hour away.
Yeah. All right, Gene, what do you got?
I'll go a different direction. I'll talk about just working in the industry in general. It was really fun. I will say I had so much. My friends, I have made friends I will have for the rest of my life, and not just me. It's very common because you spend more time with these people than you do your family for a while.
They are your family for a while.
Family, and I'd say that is the best thing about this business is there's just you're able to really get close with people because it is a very team environment. And there's, you find people that help you get better. I learned from a lot of the people that I worked with and took little things from each of them. The negative, I would say, was it's still not as inclusive as I would like to see it be.
What do you mean by that?
It's still harder for women to get promoted. And
Really?
It's 2023. Yeah, it's still just kind of a boys' world. It's a man's world for the most part, and women are getting more and more into it for sure. I mean, from the time that I started, there was not very, very few, but still, it's still like you go in and you see, maybe one or two, but you don't. When have you ever seen a dealership with all women? It's just
there you go. There's your new idea.
People have been telling me that for a long time.
You'd be surprised too how many people we worked in a place that it happened frequently. Somebody would walk in and hey, welcome to such and such a dealership. My name is Chris. How can I help you today? They say, no offense, Chris, you seem like a really nice person, but we prefer to work with a woman.
Wow.
Yep.
Yeah.
It happens. I think actually, depending on where you are, more frequently than you think.
Yeah.
I mean, I had all women managers except for Chris at one point because it was important to me that women can see themselves as managers in this business.
But why my head's kind of spinning here. Why is that? Especially in that industry.
Because it's just the mentality of what you have to be a good car salesman is you have to shut off your feelings. You have to have no family life that you are worried about getting home to. You work, and be tough, and you bully, and you know.
Only guys can have thick skin, right?
Yeah.
That's just,
It's like,
Yeah, I can see that now.
well, you're good in this department, or we need a woman in this. It's still just kind of, it's not progressed like a lot of the world has, I'd say.
yeah, it's
I
still
would
stuck in the mud a little bit.
I would think women would be more nurturing.
Women are amazing at it.
Yeah.
Women,
Statistically, actually, in the finance office, women do better. They have better numbers.
I can see that.
Statistically than men.
But why is that, Chris? Why do they do better in finance?
Well, there's stuff that is behind that, actually, that the perception is that women are better with money. So again, it kind of goes right into what she's saying, though, right? It goes right into this perception, and I think that's what, you know, or at least us, we're trying to do, is get perception out. Everybody's equal, you know, and that's how it should be.
Right. So in one of our pre-conversations, you said that this working in this industry is not for certain people. Now, if we take the personalities and the skill set that we talked about, that's one thing. But what are some other reasons that this would not be a fit for somebody?
Excuse my language, but people are going to, at some point, somebody's going to shit on you. Somebody is going to rip you apart. Somebody's going to say things that are not the nicest, and they're going to say right to your face. They're going to look you right in the eye and do it. And you have to be able to sit there and, for the most part, take it.
Yeah.
As soon as you know, show any kind of whatever, you kind of, you almost lost. So you have to, and it's going to happen. I promise you, it will happen. Somebody's
Sure.
going to rip you up and down.
Sure. What do you think, Janine? So who would this not be for? What type of person?
Yeah. What would the car industry, like, who would not be a good fit?
And before you answer that, here's why I ask you this, because somebody who can have half the skill set and the drive, maybe, who has maybe no education, thinks this could be a turnkey, way to go, make some money, possibly. But then, like Chris said, boom, you'd stop in your tracks with some people who tell you the way it is or not. But so my question to you then is, who is this not a good fit for? In addition to what he said.
You got to be honest too.
Come on.
Yeah.
We're family now. We're family now.
Honesty. Yeah. You lie. If you lie in this business, you're going to get caught. You're going to get burned. And you might think at first, like, oh, my manager's not going to find out. I'll be okay. I've seen that snowball so bad where it just gets to a point. Sir, buying a car is a big deal. I mean, you get to certain points with buying a vehicle, you sign something, you do something at a certain level. Going backwards is either not an option, or if it is an option, it is extremely difficult.
Right, so
again, you've got people's credit, people's lives that you are handling. You mistype something, you do something, you know, that one extra click or that one little miss can be a very costly error. And I think if you are not somebody that can handle high pressure situations, the car business is high pressure pretty much every day.
Yeah, I think you need to have a certain level of just a commitment outside of just like the working hours. This isn't the type of job where you can punch in, you work, and then you go home. It's not like that. If it's your day off and the customer has an issue that they need you for, you need to be available. I mean, there's big things that can come up with the purchase of a car. So
Like what? Like what?
Just
let's say you get an example. You got a couple, a husband and a wife, that have different work schedules, and they have different work schedules because of the kids, right? They have to do it that way so that one person's home and one person's while they're working, and all of that stuff, right? Well, when you're buying a car and both people are on there, you need both people to sign that, and the dealership wants you to have both people there signing at the same time, so both decision makers are there. Well, that family just set up their entire lives against what you want them to do. So now you have to try to figure out how that's going to work without inconveniencing the customer, because as soon as you inconvenience the customer, I mean, that's it. You've lost it, you know, and that you could have a great sale, everything could be going perfect. And something like that goes just a little bit south for most people. Again, you're already on a thin rope with these people. So
and I think everything we're talking about is helping that the person who's interested in it or not in this business. I'll piggyback off that, where all the cars that I purchased, my wife has no interest, right? And to your point, Chris, you know, I handle everything. I go, but you need both. I'm like, well, we'll just put in my name. That's what it comes down to, right? Because she doesn't care to miss work or leave the kids or whatever just to go do this car transaction.
Well, and then here's the best part, right? Is you have that conversation, you're like, okay, sounds good. And then I go and I get a copy of your registration and it's only in her name. And I'm like, oh my God, we just handled this whole thing. I just got over this objection and now I have to go all the way back.
Yeah, it's not always about like what they want. Like there's times where both people have to be on for credit reasons or just
I want to buy this as a gift. I want to surprise my significant other as a gift and I want it to go in their name, but they can't know about it. Well, how is it going to go in their name? They can't sign anything. And people don't quite comprehend that and they don't really care what you're saying.
Right. They don't care. That's the point. Yeah. Gotcha.
Yeah, but you can't just punch out at night. You have to, there's stuff like out of state deals too. If you're doing a deal out of state and you have a driver that goes over to Connecticut to do this for the deal and there's an issue with it, you gotta pick up your phone and make sure that your deal gets handled. There's all these different components that depend on the salesperson. You gotta make sure the car's clean. You gotta make sure your managers have everything that they need. You have to make sure
insurance is called.
Yeah, and if you start dropping the insurance company, it's called the insurance company, and if you drop the ball on any of that, then your client's not going to get their car when they are expected. You know, some people are like, I need my car by Wednesday because I'm leaving for a trip, and I'm taking my day off, so you know, you can't have that mindset in this business. You have to realize that you have to be there.
Yeah, no, I get that. Chris, what are some of the things though when you said about lying? You've seen a lot of that go on, and I'm sure it goes on everywhere, right? Yeah. Give me some examples of lying in the car business that should not be.
So you know, somebody's came in, they're looking at that pre-owned vehicle. Oh, is there any accidents on the Carfax? No, there isn't. Yeah. No, it's been Carfax. You know what I mean? Check the Carfax. I mean, you might get later on, all of a sudden, you know, it's whatever. You know, here where I live in Massachusetts, you can't release a vehicle and you can't do anything without having the title in-house. Like nothing can happen until that title is in-house. And oh yeah, we have the title, no problem. Well, what if that payoff just happened? I mean, you might have 2 to 3 weeks before that title comes in, and now that customer thinks they're going to get it. So then you have to start backtracking. You know, and as soon as that happens, like again, you're going to do it at some point where it's going to not be. I mean,
you can get away with it. Plenty of people do it and get away with it, but
it's going to happen once.
It's going to catch up to you.
Yeah. Now this is totally a bad comparison, but the first thing that comes to my mind with being unethical and that shadiness piece is there are some colleges out there where the enrollment counselors, they call them, will tell you anything, right, to get you in.
Yeah.
What? You have credits from the community college or another university? Yeah, bring them over. Well, and sometimes it's not the case, right? Then it's a, you know what, don't unravel.
Yeah, you're spending a lot of money and you're getting somebody into something they can't get back out of. So if I'm going to make $2,000 and I know if I get them in, they can't get back out. Think about the doors that opens up. You know.
Sure. Okay. Well, I think we solved the world's problems.
Don't we always?
Yeah, always.
The car business. Always glad to talk to you. So, any final thoughts on any suggestions, any recommendations, or none?
It's a great business. Honestly, I think it gets a bad rep a lot of times. You know, and I think that you know.
People think we are against the car, but we're not against the car. We're against the people who are not doing the right things in the car business and how out of control that part of it is. But we want to see more and more good people come in because it would be amazing to live in a world where you can go buy a car like you can go buy anything else and not want to cry when you leave.
Buying a car should be fun. It should be exciting. It should be a happy time. And for most people, it's just not. And the the dealerships are aiding to that, and we're trying to change that, you know,
Yeah,
and that's
we
why.
hopefully you can too, but get some more people into this business that go in the
Hey.
right reason, you know,
I'm here for change.
Absolutely.
always.
Okay. Well, thank you both. I appreciate it. And
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
okay. All right. Stand by.
Okay.